Well, here it is. The clock is back. But does it work? Well, let's find out. Got to be careful when opening boxes. Ooh, I love getting parts and gifts in the post like this. Well, actually, it's not a gift. I had to pay 40 quid for it. So it's always exciting to see, I think. Ooh, new strip on there. Looks good. So, eyes on and eyes down for a full house. Here we go. Drum roll, bit of Jeopardy. It's what we used to do on all those car shows I used to direct. What's the Jeopardy? What's the payoff for this, Jamie? How can we keep the audience engaged? Oh, will it work? 9 out of 10 times it didn't, by the way, just so you know. Okay. Enough Jeopardy. First up is, how do you do this? Got to fit the cable back in again. That'll be that one there. So, that'll be like that, he says. That's it. That's the cable back on. All I have to do now is fit it back into the top of the dash, slide it in, and see if it works. Maybe I should turn it on first before I slot it back in to make sure it works, because if it doesn't, it's got to go back. Key goes on, and oh wow, look at that. The clock is back. Well, of course, as many of you know, working on cars isn't always as smooth. It's trial and error a lot of the time. I've done things on these cars now, both the ZR and the ZS 180 that I've got, that I never thought I'd be doing, to be honest with you. I'm quite proud of myself for what I've achieved. Probably saved a considerable amount of money, but there is a limit as to some things I can do. Mechanical things being one of them. I can do minor things. As I say, you know, I've changed expansion tank, I put new plugs in it, all that kind of stuff. But there is a limit. If you said to me, take the head off, I'd be struggling. I really would. But the other area is paint. Now, I love to experiment with doing the paint work on a car, but I know what it can be like using spray cans. And it can look, to be honest with you, pretty naff. So you've got to be really careful with that. But I did the door mirror on this car last year with a spray can, and I was really happy with it. That filled me with confidence, so much so that I decided to do a little bit of work in the door shut on the driver's side. Just where the kick plate is, there's a bit of rust that I thought I need to get that done. It was going in the spray shop to have work done on it anyway, and I thought I'll give that a go. So I weren't too worried at the end of the day if I completely screwed it up. Here's what happened. I didn't put this in originally in any of the programs that I did last year, just because I was a little bit embarrassed of getting that far with it. But you know what? That's what it's all about, isn't it? It's about trial and error, trying to make it work. So another job that's been on the list of many things to do on the car is some rust. Now, I'm actually taking it in quite soon to have some of the work done. I've decided not to do a complete total respray. I want to keep the car as original as possible. So they're going to do sections of it, the worst bits, which means it's left me with some bits of rust that I want to tackle myself. There's some rust the inside of this door tread underneath the sill. So I've taken the seal off, obviously, and sure enough, big bubbles of rust. So I've ground it down and got as much of that rust out as possible. And then just giving it a coating of that rust eater stuff on the top of it, which will hopefully seal it and prevent it from spreading any further. So all I've got to do now is rub it down, now give it a final kind of smooth over, and then mask it off and spray, and see how that looks, and hopefully not regret it. Well, at least it's going into the spray shop, so if I completely goof it up, they can do that as well, which won't go down too well with the quote. So now I've sealed up the door that's pretty much sealed up, and it's going to stop a lot of the overspray getting into the car. I've now just gone over that again just one more time, so now I'm going to put the primer on, and it's a bit windy. I'm a little bit nervous about doing it, but hopefully that will work. So here we go with a bit of primer. It's been many years since I've done this. So I'm only just putting it on very lightly. I'm going to let that tack before I just put on a coat of primer. But that's not looking too bad. Not looking too bad. Okay, so here goes the first coat of the base coat. And let's see how that goes. We are not to put too much on too soon, so I'm going to gradually build that up. That don't look too bad, or I don't think it looks too bad. Someone in the spray shop would say that looks absolutely awful. They'd probably be right. Another point. Let's see when the job's done. It's time for the top coat. You don't need to really apply too much of this before it starts to run. And as I said, not to apply too much too soon. This is what will give it its gloss, hopefully. Well, I've done all the various coats, and unfortunately, on the very last coat, this happened. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know why. It looks like it's reacted to something. It looks like a couple of snowflakes have landed on it. I called the spray shop and I told them what I'd done, and immediately when I told them and described what it looked like, the little snowflakes on the paintwork at the end, they said to me, see, you know what that was, don't you? No, I don't. What was it? You put the top coat on too soon. You should have left more time for the base coat to dry. That's a classic. You sprayed it too quick. I think I left it for about an hour. Wasn't long enough. He said you should have left it for at least 3 to 4 hours. Well, this is what it looked like after getting it back from the spray shop. As you can see, the finish is not that bad. It's quite good. In fact, it's very good. So here we are. I've woken the car up from its winter slumber, and now it's time to take it out and get it on the road where it belongs. It's nice to get it out and stretch its legs, of course. All the final checks have been done. So I've done the expansion tank, as you know, the clock's been fixed. So I now can tell the time and keep an eye on just how much time I'm out in the car, enjoying myself, and we can't have too much of that, can we? I feel it's quite unique. It was registered 2011. It was built literally 2 days before the factory closed. So there weren't that many built after this. So that certainly makes it a little bit more special for me anyway. Whether I'll keep it or not, I don't know. To me, there's always another car around the corner, another exciting project, and something else that just, tickles my fancy. So we'll see. So what's the cars like to drive? Well, they are genuinely like driving little go-karts. They are good, they are fun, they are responsive. And okay, it's an MGZR, I know that, it's an old Rover 25. But I love the Z range. I've always loved the Z range. And what do I like about it? Well, I like the fact that what MG Rover did was they took these very basic cars, let's face it, they were at the end of their life, weren't they? And they turned them into really, really quite desirable sports cars, which is isn't that the ethos of what MG was all about? Affordable fun. And I think that's what they've achieved to do. And I would hate to see the MG brand now become an expensive brand where you can't afford to buy one of those expensive sports cars. And there are so many manufacturers that have gone down that road, and in my opinion, for people like myself, they've priced themselves out. So that's what these cars are all about, enjoying them, getting them outside, and I will continue to drive them for as long as I can do. But obviously that all depends on cost, doesn't it? Because if things like ULEZ start to expand even further, or they start to change it, where current cars are compliant, and suddenly the rules change and then they make them so that they're not compliant, then I can see a lot of classic cars going off the road, or certainly getting well out of London. Of course, it's great to keep them tucked up for the winter, keep them out of that nasty rain. But of course, there lies another problem. We tuck our cars up, keep them out of the rain, keep them out of the winter, keep all the salt off the road. But basically, when we don't use them, things do start to go wrong. So it's getting that balance just right.